This is a panic room. This room can save your life. If someone breaks into your house, if there is a natural disaster, a nuclear attack, and even an animal attack. It is one of the most engineered spaces ever built into a home. They can stop a bullet, survive a Category 5 hurricane, block a chemical gas attack, and keep you completely invisible to anyone trying to find you. In the United States, about 1.65 million home invasions happen every year. That's one every 90 seconds. Because of that, there are thousands of these rooms hidden inside homes right now, and most people have no idea they exist, because the owners don't talk about it. Even real estate agents hide them from buyers until they're sure the deal is serious. You can get one starting at $3,000 or spend over $1 million. Today, the panic room industry is worth over $700 million and is growing by nearly 8% every single year. So why are more and more people building these rooms inside their homes? Can a panic room really save your life? And what actually makes a panic room a panic room? The first thing you need to know, professionals don't actually love the term panic room. They prefer a safe room, and the difference is subtle but meaningful. A panic room, technically speaking, is a hardened space inside a building, a home, an office, a school, designed to protect people from human threats. A burglary, a home invasion, a targeted attack. The word panic implies you're running from someone who knows where you are and wants to do you harm. A safe room is the broader category. It covers panic rooms, but also storm shelters built to survive a tornado, rooms designed to protect against flooding, and even spaces that double as document vaults. In Israel, building codes have required every new home to have a safe room since 1992. In the American Midwest, where tornadoes can push 2x4 lumber through a brick wall at 100 miles per hour, safe rooms are less luxury and more common sense. So when we say panic room in this video, think of it as the full spectrum, from a reinforced closet that costs a few $1,000s, all the way up to a luxury underground bunker that costs more than most people's houses. The underlying idea is the same, a controlled space that stays safe when the rest of the building doesn't. And here is what makes that simple idea surprisingly deep. Building a room that reliably protects people from real-world threats is an engineering challenge. Every wall, every hinge, every ventilation pipe is a potential vulnerability. People love to trace panic rooms back to the 2002 Jodie Foster film, and honestly, that movie did more for the safe room industry than 100 ad campaigns. The term panic room basically didn't exist in popular culture before that film. The industry called them safe rooms, and after the movie, the public had a new name for them. But the idea is ancient. Go back to medieval England, feudal lords built something into their castles called a keep, the innermost, most fortified tower. If a siege broke through the outer walls, the lord and his family retreated to the keep. This was the panic room of the 12th century. Heavy stone walls, a single entrance that was easy to defend, and supplies to outlast an attack. The principle is identical to a modern safe room. Move forward a few centuries to Elizabethan England, and you find something even more interesting: the priest hall. When Queen Elizabeth I took the throne in 1558, practicing Catholicism became dangerous. Catholic families who wanted to protect priests from government searches had hidden rooms built into their homes, behind wall panels, under floorboards, even inside chimneys. These spaces weren't meant to survive a break-in. They were meant to avoid being discovered at all. It was security through hiding. The idea never went away. Jump to the 1800s in America, where the Underground Railroad used hidden rooms and secret passages in supporters' homes to protect escaped enslaved people. These spaces weren't comfortable. They were often small, dark, and poorly ventilated, but they served an important purpose: buying time and creating a barrier between the people inside and the danger outside. In the 20th century, the fallout shelter became the direct ancestor of the modern panic room. During the Cold War, fear of nuclear attack led millions of Americans to build underground shelters filled with canned food, water, and basic radio gear. The US government built its own version too, the Cheyenne Mountain Bunker, which became the command center for NORAD. It's basically the world's most expensive panic room. The whole facility is built inside a hollowed-out mountain and sits on a giant shock absorbers, so it could survive a nearby nuclear explosion. The modern residential panic room emerged from that Cold War, combined with rising concerns about crime in American cities in the 80s and 90s. Early adopters were wealthy people in Los Angeles and New York, celebrities, executives, people who had personal security teams and wanted one more layer. The rooms first appeared on the West Coast, where the security industry had developed a sophisticated ecosystem of firms who could design and build them. Then September 11 happened, and everything changed. In the months after 9/11, demand for safe rooms exploded, not just among the wealthy, but across the economic spectrum. The same thing happened after the anthrax mail attacks, after Hurricane Katrina, after basically every major national event that reminded people how quickly a sense of security can disappear. The industry has never really stopped growing since. But what actually makes a room a panic room? The first thing any intruder will try to do after failing to get through the door is breach a wall. A standard interior wall in an American home is basically 2 sheets of drywall with air and insulation between them. You could kick through it with a running start. A panic room wall is a completely different thing. The best ones use a steel stud framework reinforced with additional ties, faced with either steel sheet panels or Kevlar, the same material used in body armor. These are then covered in whatever finish material you want, tile, sheetrock, or wood paneling. From the outside, it can look like any other room in the house. It is very important that the walls run from the floor to the ceiling without any gaps. Any gap, any junction, any penetration, a light fixture, a pipe, a duct is a potential weakness. Sophisticated builders think about every single one of these openings and address them specifically. There are cases where people built what they thought were bulletproof rooms, only to realize the ventilation duct was large enough for someone to push through gas. Brick and concrete work too, but they have a surprising weakness: repeated battering. Brick walls can be broken apart piece by piece with a sledgehammer, given enough time. Steel and Kevlar actually perform better against sustained assault. The second thing is the door. A panic room door has to do several things simultaneously. It has to be almost impossible to force open. It has to swing inward so a battering ram can knock it off its hinges. It needs reinforced hinges with long screws that anchor deep into the structural frame, and the lock mechanism itself has to be resistant to drilling, cutting, and electronic defeat. High-end doors are built with the same specification as US Department of State forced entry-resistant standards. They are tested by literally having people attack them with sledgehammers, power tools, and battering rams, and timing how long they hold. There is also a design consideration that's easy to overlook. The door has to lock from the inside, quickly and without confusion. In a real emergency, you're scared, possibly in the dark, possibly injured, possibly with children who are panicking. The lock mechanism needs to be intuitive enough to use under extreme stress. Another important thing is communication. The whole point isn't to hold out forever. The goal is to stay safe long enough for help to arrive. And for help to arrive, you need to communicate. A properly built panic room has multiple redundant communication systems. A dedicated landline on its own line that can't be cut by someone simply unplugging the main phone box. A cellular option, though this can be tricky because thick steel and concrete walls can block signal. Internet access, a two-way radio, some high-end rooms even have satellite communication capability. There is also video monitoring, cameras covering every approach to the house, with the feed displayed inside the room. You can watch the threat unfold and update emergency services in real time. Leaving too early is one of the most common and most dangerous mistakes. But who actually has these rooms? The honest answer is more people than you think have them. At the top end, there are celebrity and executive safe rooms in places like Bel Air and Manhattan. Some of these are big, multi-room spaces with everything you need, hidden behind moving bookshelves or made to look like ordinary bedrooms. But there is also a much more practical market. In Mexico, where kidnapping has historically been a serious concern, safe rooms are installed as an alternative or supplement to personal bodyguards. In Israel, As I mentioned, every new home must have one. They're called Mamad in Hebrew, and they serve double duty as a missile shelters. Since the 80s, every US embassy has had safe room with a bullet-resistant glass. Schools and houses of worship are increasingly installing safe rooms as protection against active shooter situations. And then there is the everyday homeowner, maybe in a neighborhood with a slow police response time, maybe in a tornado belt, maybe just someone who wants a reliable safety net. For this market, the entry point is actually pretty accessible. A reinforced interior room with a solid door and a dedicated phone line can be built for around $3,000. The diversity of users is actually one of the most interesting things about the safe room industry. The threat model, the specific scenario you're building against, varies enormously and the room has to be designed accordingly. The reason people build them isn't fear, or rather, it's not only fear. It's the same reason people wear seatbelts, keep a fire extinguisher in the kitchen, and have first aid kit under the bathroom sink. It's the acknowledgement that the world is occasionally unpredictable. The bad things can happen to anybody, and that a small investment in preparation can make enormous difference in the outcome. A panic room is, at its best, a physical expression of that philosophy. It doesn't mean you live in fear. It means you've thought through this scenario, made a plan and created a margin of safety that buys you time when you need it most. And time in genuine emergency is everything. The rooms will keep getting smarter, more accessible, and more integrated into everyday life. The medieval keep, the priest hall, the Cold War fallout shelter, the luxury safe room, the modular reinforced closet, they're all expressions of the same ancient human instinct to have somewhere safe to go when the world outside gets dangerous.